The airport smelled the same as I remembered, like tired people, reheated sandwiches, and faint perfume from 1,000 different lives passing through. I hadn't set foot in this country in almost 7 years, not since I packed everything into 2 suitcases and left to chase a better life across the ocean. And it was better. I had my own apartment in Amsterdam, a thriving job at a design firm, and friends who never asked me to apologize for being quiet, or ambitious, or different. But despite everything I'd built for myself, something still pulled at me the moment the invite arrived. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. It wasn't even a formal one, just a picture of a floral card my aunt had forwarded me. The card said, "You're invited. Ryan and Bella's big day." But there was no "Dear Evelyn," no personal message, just a general invite sent out to everyone they didn't want to admit they forgot about. Still, I booked the flight. Maybe it was naive. Maybe I thought coming back would be a full circle moment. That after years of being the invisible daughter, the one who stayed in her room too much, the one who never had enough sparkle to stand out next to Ryan, the golden boy, they might finally say, "We're glad you came," or even just, "We missed you." The days leading up to the flight were a blur of work handovers and nervous anticipation. I packed carefully, 3 dresses, 1 pair of heels, gifts from Amsterdam boutiques, even a necklace my mom once admired in an old photo. I wanted to bring a piece of my new life back to them. I wanted them to see who I'd become, not the awkward teenager they boxed up like an afterthought, but the woman I built in spite of them. When my plane landed, I turned on my phone while we were still taxiing. It buzzed with a single message from my father. "Don't make it awkward, Evelyn. Just don't come." At first, I thought it was spam, some weird auto-corrected message or a prank, but the name was there, Dad, and the 3 dots that showed he was still typing. Then another message came. "Ryan just wants things smooth, no surprises. He didn't think you'd actually show." That was it. No "sorry," no "we'll talk when you get home." Just a quiet erasure, like I was the wrinkle in their picture-perfect moment, the unwanted glitch. The plane door opened and people around me cheered, stretched, laughed, called loved ones. I sat frozen in my seat, the screen still lit with my father's words. "Don't come. Don't be seen. Don't ruin it for Ryan. For Ryan. Always Ryan." I got up slowly, numb, and walked through the terminal in a fog. The air outside was humid and heavy, sticking to my skin like the shame I'd thought I outgrew. I didn't even book a hotel because I thought I'd be staying in my childhood room. I'd imagined Mom smiling in the doorway, maybe asking if I still liked cinnamon toast. I'd imagined them being proud. Instead, I sat on a bench outside Arrivals, watching taxis drive away with strangers who belonged. I opened Instagram and saw that my brother had posted a photo just 2 hours earlier. It was him and Bella at the rehearsal dinner, surrounded by fairy lights and family. My mother stood proudly beside him in a new dress. My father raised a toast. The caption read, "Family, the ones who always show up." I didn't even know what I was more angry at, that I wasn't included or that I still felt like I had something to prove. I checked into the cheapest hotel I could find and laid on the bed staring at the ceiling. My dress was still zipped in its garment bag, the gifts still wrapped, and for hours I debated flying back out the next morning, but something inside me, the part that had grown in silence far away from them, refused to just disappear. So I stayed, quiet, watching, observing the week unfold on their socials like I was a stranger. The more I saw, the more one thing became clear. They had erased me from the narrative completely. Photos were carefully cropped. My name was never mentioned. Old relatives commented things like, "So beautiful, your whole family looks amazing," and no one corrected them. I was invisible, and now that I knew that was their choice, not just an oversight, I made one of my own. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay on the hotel mattress with my phone screen casting shadows across the ceiling, reading and rereading that text from Dad. Every time I blinked, I saw his words burned into the inside of my eyelids like a cruel brand. "Don't make it awkward." That was the phrase that broke me more than anything. Not, "Don't come." Not even "Ryan doesn't want you there." But the idea that my mere existence was a social inconvenience to them. By morning, something in me had shifted. The grief was still there, yes, but it had settled into something sharper. I wasn't going to cry anymore. I'd done that for 26 years. I was going to make them look me in the eyes and realize what they threw away. I started by renting a car. Nothing fancy, just something reliable and clean. I drove to my old neighborhood, keeping the radio off the entire time. Every street was a memory. The cracked sidewalk where I learned to ride my bike, the corner bakery where I used to stop with Mom before school, the school bus stop where Ryan would always get picked first for everything, and I was the girl no one remembered. My hands clenched the steering wheel tighter the closer I got. Their house looked freshly painted, balloons floated from the porch railings, and a banner stretched across the front. "Welcome to the weekend of love." My name wasn't on it. Of course not. I parked at the end of the street and watched as guests began to arrive in waves. Aunts, cousins, old neighbors. I saw familiar faces, older now, some heavier, some grayer. No one noticed me, and I liked it that way, for now. I didn't walk up to the door. I didn't announce myself. Instead, I drove to a nearby cafe and opened my laptop. The past few years in Europe had taught me something crucial. Distance sharpens perspective. And while they'd been busy pretending I didn't exist, I'd built something they never asked about: connections. Turns out, Ryan's fiancée, Bella, was quite proud of her wedding planner, a woman named Kelsey who ran a trendy boutique agency called Golden Vine Events. I recognized the name from a viral article I'd seen months ago. The company had exploded on Instagram for luxury pop-up weddings and last-minute venue takeovers. What no one in my family knew was that the creative director who had mentored Kelsey during her startup days was me. We'd worked together in Amsterdam for over a year before she returned to the States and launched her brand. We'd stayed in touch ever since. I even helped design the logo she still used. And as fate would have it, she'd texted me just a month ago about needing help with a large-scale destination wedding in Greece this fall. So I sent her a message, something casual, light. "Hey, Kels, in town for a family thing. Guess whose wedding I accidentally stumbled into? Small world. Hope they're treating you well." She replied almost immediately. "OMG, no way. I didn't know you were related to Ryan. They didn't even mention a sister? So weird. It's been chaotic. Bella's nice but super intense. Want to swing by the venue later? I could use your eyes on the layout." I agreed. Not because I wanted revenge, yet, but because I wanted to be there, to exist. Even if quietly. That afternoon, I showed up at the wedding venue, an elegant outdoor estate in the hills just outside town. It looked like something out of a movie. Ivory tints, rose garlands, fairy lights strung between columns. Staff buzzed around like bees preparing a hive for royalty. Kelsey greeted me with a hug and handed me a clipboard without a second thought. "You're saving me," she whispered, pulling me into the event fold like I belonged there. And I did. For the next 3 hours, I walked the grounds like a silent architect. I adjusted flower placement, recommended lighting tweaks, smoothed seating charts. The staff didn't question me once. I wore confidence like armor, and no one could tell I was the family outcast. To them, I was just another creative professional helping bring a vision to life. That evening, as the rehearsal dinner began, I lingered near the service entrance, hidden from the main flow of guests. I could hear laughter through the tent walls, the clinking of glasses, the faint echo of my father's toast. "To Ryan," he said, "our legacy, our pride, the one who never gave us a moment's doubt." There it was again, that backhanded blade, the kind that cuts deep even when it's wrapped in praise. But then something happened that changed everything. A little girl, maybe 10 years old, wandered out from the tent. She was in a white dress, holding a basket of flower petals, probably one of the junior bridesmaids. She looked lost and frustrated. "Can I help you?" I asked gently. She looked up, startled. "I can't find Bella's bracelet," she said. "The one with the blue stone. She told me not to come back without it." I crouched down. Did you check under the dessert table or behind the chairs? Her face crumpled. She said I'd ruin her wedding if I lost it. That was all I needed to hear. I found the bracelet tucked under a floral archway and gave it back to the girl. She hugged me tightly, whispering, "You're nicer than her." It wasn't much, but it was enough. Enough to remind me that kindness doesn't need an audience. That maybe, just maybe, I didn't need their approval anymore. But I still wasn't done. As I left the venue that night, Kelsey caught up to me in the parking lot. "You know," she said slowly, "I've got a crazy idea." "What?" "Bella keeps changing everything last minute. It's stressing the staff out. If I offered her a full switch to our executive luxury package, with a new venue and VIP-only design, she'd probably take it in a second. That would leave this place open and already paid for." I looked at her, blinking. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Kelsey smirked. "I've got a gap in the schedule. You could throw your own event, your way, on the same night, while they're off chasing fake perfection somewhere else." I didn't answer her right away. I just stood there under the moonlight, the wind playing with my hair, the world holding its breath. Then, I whispered, "Let's do it." The day of the wedding arrived like a storm behind a veil. Sunny skies, polished heels, but an electric tension in the air. I woke up early, not to dress for their celebration, but for my own. Kelsey had worked magic overnight. After Bella threw a fit over one final floral change, she'd accepted the luxury upgrade to a sleeker indoor venue uptown. Modern, glitzy, and cold. She hadn't even questioned why the outdoor venue was suddenly unavailable. She just wanted something shinier than the last bride in her social circle. And my parents? They didn't care where the wedding was, as long as it looked good on camera and Ryan got his applause. That left the original venue, a stunning estate now open and empty, in our hands. And we made it sing. Kelsey's team redraped the tent in soft lights and warmer tones. The tables were reset not for 100 guests, but for 20 people I handpicked. College friends who'd flown in from Europe, former clients who'd become chosen family, even a professor who once told me my vision would change lives. No paparazzi, no Instagram influencers, just real people. Instead of a bride's march, we played instrumental jazz. Instead of speeches about legacies, we laughed over shared memories. I wore a dark green gown with gold stitching, elegant, unassuming, completely my own. And when I stood up to toast, I held the microphone with steady hands. "Years ago," I began, my voice calm, "I left home thinking I had to prove something to be seen. But I've learned that the people who matter will never make you shrink to fit their frame. They will expand the picture to include you." The guests raised their glasses, misty-eyed and smiling. It wasn't just a toast. It was a reclamation. But the universe wasn't quite done writing twists. Midway through the evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills and soft music floated through the air, a black SUV pulled up outside the gate. I saw the doors open and out stepped my father. Behind him, my mother in a shawl, holding her phone like a weapon, and behind her, my brother and Bella, visibly confused. I didn't move. I simply watched as they walked up the path toward the estate. A staff member tried to redirect them, but my father held up a hand. "We were told this was the wedding venue. Our name is on the rental." One of Kelsey's assistants stepped in. "I'm sorry, sir. This venue was released last night and rebooked. This is a private event." My mother squinted through the tent and finally saw me. She froze. The expression on her face when she realized it was me hosting, me standing there confidently among people who loved me, not begging for a seat at their table but building my own, was something I'll never forget. She tried to speak, but I turned my back to her calmly and clinked my glass to get my guests' attention. "Looks like we have some lost tourists," I said with a soft smile, earning polite chuckles from my crowd. "Let's wish them well on their journey." And then I walked away. They didn't follow. Later, I saw Ryan's wedding photos online. The indoor venue looked grand, but cold. The lighting was harsh, Bella's expression stiff, and in every photo there was a strange emptiness, like something real was missing. Me? I posted nothing. My evening didn't need filters or hashtags, but word spread as it always does in small towns. People talked. They whispered about the other event, the one with laughter, warmth, and elegance that came out of nowhere and outshone everything else. A week later, I boarded a plane back to Amsterdam. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't need to. I had finally made peace with the truth. They didn't forget me. They chose to overlook me, and I chose to walk away with grace. But not before leaving one final message. I mailed my father a framed photo from that night, not of me, but of my guests, all raising a glass under golden lights. On the back, a handwritten note. You told me not to come. I didn't. I arrived. And that was the last thing I ever sent them. Because sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's the loudest statement you'll ever make. And they heard it, loud and clear. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you